Hello everyone, AmyR here with Prairie Paper and Ink, and after I posted my last video, I couldn't resist playing around with these Crayola fine line markers again. I had this second pre-printed panel from the Simon Says May 2017 card kit. It was literally like sitting on my desk staring at me, and while my kids were watching a little TV show here in my office, I was like, I'm just gonna sit and color and play. So I pulled these markers out again and started coloring. I was curious to see how they were gonna work with a larger image, because my last video, which I will have linked at the end of this one if you haven't seen it, I did all those little, cactus and succulent images, and they were small, so not a whole lot of space. I didn't have to pull the color out very far, etc. So this one, completely different, large image and a background and all this stuff. So I was like, I'm just gonna play. So I started with just using the little pink marker, and I was scribbling it down and pulling out the color. And then I definitely wanted to deepen that. I will say the pink marker is not very pigmented, but did that, and then I added a little bit of red. And then I wanted to add a little bit of orange. And this is where, right at this point, I was like, oh, this is not looking good. I was like, I've ruined it. But I was like, what? I'm just going to keep playing, because why not? I've already done, I'd already posted my earlier video. I don't often get a chance to just kind of play around. So I was like, I'm just going to keep working with it and see how it goes. Off to the side, like off camera, I had my phone sitting beside me. I had just Googled like images of flamingos just to kind of give me an idea of like where the actual color is. And really, they're not pink. They're more like a coral, peachy sort of shade, just where the colors go. So that's what made me think of like adding a bit of the orange. But like I said, the pink marker in this little set isn't as pigmented. The red is decent, and the orange is super pigmented. And I have had a lot of people asking me since I posted my last video, like, are these like watercolor markers? And no, they're not. They're just fine line markers by Crayola. They're really affordable price point, all that. I just assumed when I got them, I was like, you know what, they're Crayola, so they're more than likely water-based and they would work. So I experimented with my last video and coloring with them and pulling it out with the water brush. And I was really pleased with how the color moved. So these are not marketed as such, but I have used what you can. Why not? I assume you can do this with just about any Crayola marker. But yeah, these ones work really well. And like I said, the price point's really good on these. So I'm just having fun with them. So I did the Flamingo, and I was like, as it dried, I was like, okay, this is working. It's not as horrible as I thought it was. And then I colored in the heart just using the red marker. And then for the water, I just used the blue marker, just scribbled it on and pulled it out. And then this is where I really got to kind of going a little more all out. I used kind of this aqua teal sort of color and started scribbling it against the edge of the flamingo and then really pulling it out with my water brush. And, I wanted it to fade off, but I really wanted that background. And this one is similar to the orange in the sense that it's very vibrant. So you don't need very much of it, but it was working quite well. It still dried in a kind of funky way, which I don't mind. Kind of a bloom, like if you know kind of watercolor lingo, it almost did like a blooming effect. But again, these are like $5 markers. So I'm super happy with just how fun these are to play with. So I just kind of went around like one section at a time and would scribble a little bit against the edge, and then I was pulling it out. I was trying really hard not to touch the actual edge, like especially where these reds are and the flamingo and that orange. I didn't want to touch that with my water brush because I'm positive it would sort of reactivate a bit and just create a muddy mess. So I was just kind of careful to kind of color almost right up against the edge, and then would go right up to the edge with my water brush, and again, the reds and the oranges and all those colors, they're dry. I wouldn't do this if they were still wet, because then, yeah, you'd end up with a hot mess. But this worked. And at this point, I was like, once I started adding in the background, I was like, okay, this is workable. I can do something with this. So I let everything dry, and then I ran it through my die cut machine with the same largest stitched rectangle die from Simon, since, again, I had it sitting here on my desk already. And once I'd done that, I pulled out my white gel pen and just went along and was kind of adding like little highlights and that. They're subtle. If you really want like bright white, I recommend the Copic opaque white that I use a lot and absolutely love. That will give you like really bright white highlights, whereas this is definitely more subtle, but I kind of like that. I didn't want it to be super stark. So I just started going along, not really any rhyme or reason, and just adding little, you know, highlights and dots and little lines and things to the main image and to the water and to the penguin's little, or the penguin, I keep wanting to say penguin, the flamingo's legs, and then even to the heart here, just to give it that little extra something. So once I was done with all of that, I'm going to work on the actual card base, and I just grabbed this soft navy cardstock. This is also from Simon's card kit, but you can get it separately. So I use that. I cut it in half lengthwise, and I'm scoring it at 5.5 inches with my Teflon bone folder. So it will be a top folding A2 sized card. And once I did that, I grabbed the You Matter stamp set, and I grabbed the large U from the set and a smaller sentiment, and I had this black piece of cardstock still sitting on my desk. It's actually, I'm going to keep this out until I completely use it up. It just comes in so handy. So I treated the black cardstock with my anti-static powder tool first, and then I stamped the sentiment with Simon Says clear embossing ink, and then set that aside after I coated it with the white embossing powder, and then did the same thing to what will be the inside of the card. So I used my anti-static powder tool, and then I inked up this large U stamp with the same ink and stamped that onto the inside of the card. And I'm going to coat that with the same, this is Hero Art's white embossing powder. So get that all on there, flick off all the excess, and then I can get my heat tool on, let that heat up for a few seconds, and then I'm going to melt the embossing powder on both pieces of cardstock. So get it melted on black cardstock, and then I'm going to take it to my card base here, get that completely melted. Once that's melted, I'm going to get my paper trimmer out again, and I'm going to trim off that black cardstock so it's just a narrow little strip. So I just use the wire in the center of this as kind of my visual guide, so I get it cut straight, and then cut the ends off of that so that everything just kind of lines up nicely. And then I'm going to wipe off the excess anti-static powder. I just rub my hands against it as well as on the inside there to get rid of all of that. And then I'm going to just adhere the sentiment into place with my Tonic Nouveau adhesive that, yeah, so far so good. This is, I think, card number 4, something like that I've made using this adhesive. I really like it. And this time I decided to pop up this image with some foam tape, just give it a little dimension. I almost added baker's twine to this card too, like the last couple cards I made, but I thought, no, you know, we'll keep this a little more simple. Still works as a masculine card though. That's another reason too. I thought I would just keep things kind of simpler with this one. But I did add a few just black enamel dots to my card, and that just finished it off. Really quick, really simple, just fun. So as always, I will have links below the video to my blog post, links to supplies used, links to that other video that I mentioned will be coming up here at the end. Thank you all so much for watching, subscribing, thumbs upping, and commenting on my videos. I really appreciate it. And I will see you all very soon in another video. Bye.